could be a speed bump for sure. Man, when he gets pissed, it's like, all right, everybody take a breath real quick.
How you give up on a guy that young with that ability is beyond me.
It feels like it's the cat effect for me. Pulling out like weekly MRIs and like we're watching the tendon repair itself, I'm so in.
Shane Bieber has forearm fatigue. What is he fatigued from? And how did those guys hurt their back? What were they doing during the 5 months of the offseason?
What is up, everybody? I'm Kyle, and with me is Matt. As always, we are back with the Onside Pod. Today, we're going to be talking all things basketball and maybe a little bit of some baseball spring training and anything else that jumped out this past week in sports. Matt, do you have anything to kind of lead us off? Or otherwise, I'm just going to get going into the categories.
Yeah, we're in the dog days, the NBA season, and we're also getting going with MLB. We're about to get to the World Baseball Classic. We're in kind of this like exciting and also getting ready for playoffs in different ways. So I don't know, weird week of sports, but still a lot of fun stuff. NBA has always given us good games, so a lot of fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. We were kind of saying before the pod, like we're a little bit in the dog days of the NBA. It almost feels like where it's, we're through. This teams are we kind of know where teams are. Either they're good or bad. Either they're pushing to make the playoffs or they're not.
And they're fully committed to tanking, a third of the entire Western Conference.
Right. But with that said, I mean, we still had some really good matchups. That was my main takeaway. I mean, the Pistons had a crazy run of games this past week. They played the Spurs, the Thunder, the Cavs, I think back to back. Not kind of simultaneous in days, but simultaneous in terms of their games. So I mean, they had a crazy run. And so, yeah, I mean, we're still getting some awesome games, even though we are kind of in the dog days of it.
Yeah, we also so it was just running through a few of the matchups. We had Spurs Pistons, and the Spurs beat the Pistons, and that was super hard fought. One of those matchups you don't get to see that often because Western Eastern Conference, but really nice to see late in the season, and both teams were pretty healthy. And then we had Pistons OKC, but it was a shorthanded Thunder team, so not a full strength there, but the Pistons did win that. Then we had Cavs over Knicks, and then we had Knicks over Spurs. That was not all necessarily in chronological order, but just going through. And then we also had Cavs Pistons. So and then we had Denver OKC and Denver Minnesota. Sorry, I'm just going back through my notes and just remembering how many of the games there were. And it feels like all the teams basically beat each other. So we are very much in the seeds are starting to shake out. Teams are starting to figure out what lineups they want to bring into the playoffs, and figuring out your best five guys for the playoffs is a really big deal right now, and feeling like you can trust them. So a lot of the stuff is this is where championships are not made, but starting to get built.
Yeah. Okay. So with all that being said, I think let's go ahead and give our biggest riser out. And this feels like it has to go to the Spurs, who just had their 11-game win streak snapped by the Knicks. But before that, we're honestly on a tear. And for me, the thing that stood out the most is Wemby actually being a consistent force game after game, uninjured, and just putting up great numbers and really just becoming a guy for their team that's so reliable.
Yeah, it's getting to the point. A buzzword that has been often used in the NBA, I mean, in the past, I want to say decade, I kind of remember starting to hear this buzzword during LeBron's Cavs stint, where he was, the main character and face of the league, where the term being gravity, and being how much does this player shape when he has the ball, how much does the floor kind of shape around him? And, you use it for someone like LeBron, where it's when he has the ball, you have to put bodies in front of him so that you will try and stop him from going to the rim, and then that would open up lanes for other people to get open to shoot. And it's okay, the floor is bending towards his gravity. Wemby is it is like that, but it's kind of in a flip side on defense, where it's when he is in the paint, the floor kind of balloons around him, away for him, and he takes away all these 10-foot, 12-foot jump shots that just become impossible. And he didn't even have his statistical best week by any means. Even in the Pistons game, I think he had double-digit points and a few blocks, which for a lot of players would be a great night. Obviously for Wemby, it's not popping off the screen kind of early in the season. His stat lines were huge, but it's to the point where even if he's just there, he is changing how the other team has to play offense, and that's that has always been the case with him. But it feels like it's reaching this crazy pitch where you have to play against him totally differently, and we really saw it this week.
Yeah, and I feel like the players he has around him really help in that too. Like they're just quick guys that can like defend, but also can move around the court. Like just, I think a big part of it is because they're quick, and so like that's maybe his one caveat is his footwork. While incredible for being 7'5", like at the end of the day, he still is relatively slower. But by surrounding him with all these quick guys like Castle and Vassell, even Champagne, it just feels like that group fits really well with him.
Yeah. The 11-game win streak, I think if we had done this pod like 2 days ago and Saturday, it would have been kind of the obvious pick. They did lose to the Knicks. And honestly, I thought the Knicks looked great, and they're kind of like an enigmatic team, because if you catch them on the wrong night, they look like they don't really make a ton of sense. And then you catch them on the right night, and they put up like a 20-2 run to beat the Spurs, and Brunson was hitting shots, and Bridges played great defense, and Hart even got some like layups on Wemby. So
it feels like it's the cat effect for me, man. Like I felt like the Timberwolves were the same way when they had Karl Anthony Towns. It's just, I don't know. There's something about him, man. Some nights you'll watch him specifically. I watch him play and he doesn't pass the sniff test, like the eye test, I guess. But then other times you're like, wow, this guy is incredible. And it's just like, how is he possibly doing this?
He's a big X factor for them, because he is like big and quick enough on defense that he's one of the people for the Nuggets am most scared to play, just purely because of obviously it would have to be in the finals for that to be the case. But when he was at Minnesota, I thought, and it was in combination with Gobert, but now the Knicks also have Mitchell Robinson. Like he is able to kind of be strong enough and stand in the way enough for someone like Jokic, or I mean, for Wemby, it's a little bit less of like the are you strong enough to withstand him, and more like, are you able to like stay in front of him and eliminate him getting the ball, which is always impossible. But anyway, Cat's defense can be such a big factor, and he is a imposing presence. But to your point, sometimes you watch him and you're like, is this guy even like that good? I don't know.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say about that Knicks game, I don't know if you caught it. There was the moment where Wemby, I want to say he shot like a fadeaway three kind of right by the Knicks bench, and Jeremy Sohan was on the bench for the Knicks and said something to Wemby as like Wemby's running back up the court, and dude, Wemby like gives him like a, not even just the cold shoulder, like almost pushes him away. Like Wemby pushed Sohan away, which felt like some crazy like bad blood between them, which was nuts since they were obviously former teammates.
Wemby's definitely a competitive dude.
Yeah, man.
He's bringing we had the whole discussion with the All-Star game, but he's bringing the heat to the league, like, which is fun. It's fun to have kind of a, not antagonist, but he's willing to get in there.
All right, let's keep moving. Biggest faller of the week. Who do you got?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be the Warriors for me. They're kind of in this weird zone right now. They're not one of the 5 tanking teams. They're right. I think they're in the play-in spot right now. Maybe they're the 8 seed or 9 seed. But Curry, I think they just announced he's going to be out for 10 more days. And the non-Curry lineups they're not pretty. Of course, they lost Jimmy Butler earlier this season. And this week specifically, they lost to the Pelicans, which is a team that is actively, feels like at least, trying to lose. And they also kind of got washed by the Lakers, who are still an impressive team, but the game was over in like the third quarter. They just feel uncompetitive. I'm kind of in the spot where it's like, what hope, if you're a Warriors fan, what hope do you have? Is the hope that they find some gem to put alongside Curry next season, and Curry's not getting younger and Jimmy Butler's not getting younger? They don't have a ton of picks. They don't have a ton of draft capital in the next few years. Like, rebuilding is going to be hard, and
building around 38-year-old Steph Curry is also very hard.
Yeah, and it's not that Steph is not still incredible. I mean, he is. And I don't want to say a team with Steph Curry, even a 38-year-old Steph Curry, doesn't have a shot. But I just worry for fans of the Golden State Warriors, and that's a crazy thing to say because they have been one of the least worrisome fan bases for like a decade and a half, but maybe just a decade. But Golden State Warriors. I do want to shout out the Mavs and the Kings. The Mavs lost to the Kings and the Grizzlies, also tanking teams. and the Kings are the Kings. And they did win. They did snap their 16 game loss streak. But another thing I wanted to mention on the Golden State Warriors, they did just trade away Jonathan Kuminga, who it was a long standing. Will they, won't they? Are they going to fully invest in Kuminga, or are they going to give him away? And that brings me to my protagonist of this week for the NBA, which is Jonathan Kuminga. So he made his Atlanta Hawks debut this week, and has honestly been great. He was so good in the most recent game, which was against Portland, that the announcers were basically, and I even think the fans were chanting it. The announcers basically said on the broadcast, "Thank you, Golden State Warriors. We appreciate it." They said, "How you give up on a guy that young with that ability is beyond me."
Wow.
So, also adds to the Golden State Warriors, being the biggest faller. But he has shot 67% from the floor. He's put up 7 rebounds twice, put up a few good assists, put up highlight dunks. And you just have to wonder, like, if this is real, if this is who Kuminga is, if this is, he's still 23, so he's still young.
That's crazy. I feel like we've been hearing about him for a while.
No kidding. But if this is who he is, how did the Warriors not unlock this earlier? And we saw flashes of it.
Yeah.
And maybe this is just like, the honeymoon period with this new team. But you do have to wonder about that. And could he have been the piece to unlock if the Warriors had just done something differently or invested in him differently? And I don't know. But for all the crap that he has gotten in a Warriors uniform, it's exciting to see him, at least in 3 games so far, flourish on the Hawks. And granted, it was the Wizards, and the Trailblazers, so we have yet to see him really be tested. But yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's move to the villain of the week. This is honestly, a team that's kind of similar to the Warriors in some ways. And this is, the player is going to be Luka Doncic. He's going to be our villain. But the Lakers feel similar, in a similar situation in some ways to the Warriors. I think the Lakers have more, obviously, they have more hope given that Luka is Luka.
Exactly.
However, this past week definitely did not show his best. I think they have an overtime game. Was it an overtime game that they ended up
are you thinking about the Magic?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't think it was overtime, but it was
game.
crunch time. Yeah.
I mean, I'll let you take it because I know that you had some things to say about Luka here.
Yeah, the clutch. So Luka's 3-ball has definitely been landing. It's not like he's been unproductive, but the Lakers have done this kind of weird thing where they have gotten blown out in a lot of games, and they have won a lot of close games, which is part of why they feel like a worse team than the standings actually show that they are. And this week it was kind of the opposite. They blew out the Warriors, and then they lost close games to the Magic and to the Suns. And they got blown out by the Celtics last week. So, but the big thing that kind of circulated social media was Luka basically, they ran it was in the Magic series. They had an inbound pass, and they ran this play for Luka to get an open look for the 3, and honestly got a great look at it. The kind of shot you would expect someone like Luka Doncic to take. And he passed it up and kind of shoveled it to LeBron, who had a kind of falling out of bounds, not even look, just a shot, a prayer, which didn't go in, and the Lakers, kind of walk off the court with feeling that pain and remembering Luka did not take that shot, and that basically lost us the game. And he's also starting to really talk to the refs on every play, and it's starting to grate on me. I'm sure it's starting to grate on Lakers fans. Great on you, Kyle. I don't know.
It gets to a point. You know what I mean? It really does. Also, interesting. Yeah, they lost that to the Suns. He dropped 41 in that game where they lost.
Still productive.
It's crazy, man. He'll put up insane numbers, and yet the team doesn't, they don't see that same level of success, which is always interesting when you have players that act like that not act like that, but players that can put up crazy numbers, and yet you don't see the team. There are other teams where if their star is putting up a 40-point game, they're definitely going to win. But with Luka, it's never felt like that. He's one of those guys that's just like a pure scorer.
Yeah, it's kind of the same way I feel sometimes about Jokic, where if I see it, if I pull up a Nuggets box score halfway through and Jokic has taken 15 shots by the end of the half, and even if he's making a lot of them, I know something is not going right with the team. I would rather see him take 2 shots, 4 shots, and spread the ball around a lot and have a ton of assists. Like that's how I know the team is actually clicking. I don't know if it's exactly the same with Luka. They're different kinds of players, but it feels similar where it's like just pure production is not necessarily translating to winning on the court. And I kind of worry about that with Luka. And I mean, also the lack of defense stuff is definitely troubling, but
yeah. Although I feel like a lot of that is perception. I think he's looks like a bad defender, even though I mean he's a big dude and he's lanky.
Yeah, he can get in the way of people if he wants.
Get in the way of he can be a speed bump for sure.
Yeah, no, it does look like effort a lot of the time. Unfortunately, I don't think he's not capable, but yeah. We'll keep the Orlando Magic Lakers game train rolling. Talking about the best late game player of this week, Desmond Bane hit a really tough long three to put the Magic up. I think it was either up 2 or up 3, and then Wendell Carter Jr. basically grabbed an offensive board and put it back in, and that was ultimately the final bucket. The game ended 110-109. You got to think that the Magic, when they traded for Desmond Bane, that was exactly what they were hoping to get, was a guy that they could trust from 3, and he has not been like over the top stellar this year, but he has been great. I think the Magic's lack of success is a lot due to Franz and Jalen Suggs just really not being healthy and Paolo not fully taking the step up that people have wanted. But anyway, that was kind of my like best late game player of the week, or best late game moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how you're going to feel about the term best. One of probably the most entertaining late game moment for me this week was OKC beating the Nuggets in overtime after there's an infamous scene with Lou Dort and Nikola Jokic, where Nikola Jokic had that fire in his eyes that was genuinely horrifying to see.
And what do you think, Kyle? Deservedly had the fire in his eyes, or
dude, absolutely. Okay. If I'm in his shoes and a guy
right
like hip checks me and trips me to the point where like I potentially could get hurt, and I'm sure it did hurt, even if it wasn't like a injury level. It's the it's the lack of respect there. That's like clearly a move that he's doing on purpose. Lou Dort, I mean,
yep.
And so yeah, I think that reaction is absolutely warranted, man. At the end of the day, he didn't throw a punch.
They even asked him after. They were like, "Do you like regret your reaction?" He was like, I think he said something to the effect of like, "No, he did something wrong, and I didn't retaliate very much. I just got angry, so I would do it again." Which, like, fair enough.
Yeah, no, I can't think of too many times where I felt like Jokic is really in the wrong. It really feels
good
like
energy, Kyle.
I know. I hate to be riding on the bandwagon here, but man, when he gets pissed, it's like, all right, everybody take a breath real quick. He knows like
he could whine a little bit less on a few things, but in general, I'm with you.
Yeah. Anyways, but the moment is actually really the Thunder beating them, I thought was really the shocker for me. It really felt like after that moment, especially because I mean, Jokic got to stay in the game. I think there was 2 technicals. There was one on Jokic and then one on Jalen Williams, and those offset. And so it was really just Lou Dort getting thrown out in that moment. So it felt like all the momentum
and ejected for 10 games.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that. Yeah. He's ejected for 10 games.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, they threw the book at him.
A martyr out. Wow, yeah. So anyways, with all that going on for OKC to still win, and SGA did not play at all in overtime, notably because of, I think, illness or something, it seemed like. I think I maybe not. That's maybe what the box office says, but box office.
That's what the movies are saying.
That's what, yeah. But I think it was maybe probably like an injury or something. And also, I mean, he still played, like 35 minutes or whatever. So I'm sure he was gassed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. It was not the Nuggets have honestly been very bad in the clutch this year, which is not the Nuggets that I've come to expect. Granted, we do not have Aaron Gordon, who is the heart and soul of the team. So looking forward to him coming back.
For sure.
In Vibes MVP, I'll just keep the Lou Dort train going. I'll just shout him out.
Yeah.
Lou Dort LVP vibes. This is not the first dirty play we've seen of him. He's starting to become known for it, even by the OKC fans. And as an anecdote, I went to a Nuggets game, the Nuggets Thunder game in Ball Arena at the start of February, maybe at the end of January. And there was a OKC fan there who had a Lou Dort jersey on. And You know how sometimes you can just tell a fan is at the game, basically with the express mission. His priorities are in second place, watch my team win, and in first place, antagonize the home team fans. You know, he had a Lou Dort jersey on, so that was fitting. I'm sure this guy's a nice guy off the court, being the fan outside of Ball Arena, but man, it was just like anytime anything happened, he would yell needles at the fans around him, and pretend to like he was going to throw his beer at them, and never like over the top or anything, but just like, I'm going to make all the home fans around me, their life really annoying. And so it's fitting that he was wearing a Lou Dort jersey. And so I just have to shout out Lou Dort here in the least valuable vibes player. But on MVP, Dante DiVincenzo he's starting to feel like, of the Minnesota team, feels like a tight-knit family of guys who love playing basketball and playing hard. And of all the people, he feels like the heart and soul of it, in a way that, like, he's always celebrating when he makes his threes. He's always trying really hard on defense. He's always hyping the other teammates up. And specifically, not to keep talking about Nuggets games, but I do watch them most consistently. He had a play where he got a steal and then ran down, got a three, celebrated with the bench. And at that point, it just felt like all the momentum was in Minnesota's favor. And even though Denver like kind of came back a little bit on the scoreboard, it's hard to swing that kind of momentum shift. And DiVincenzo just feels like that kind of guy who can bring it to Minnesota. And Ant feeds off his energy. Naz Reid feeds off his energy. Even like Jaden McDaniels, who's normally a little bit of a quieter guy, like gets hyped up when Dante gets hyped up. So he was my vibes MVP for the week.
Dude, the Timberwolves in general might just be the vibes MVP for this week. They're healthy and they're playing great ball. They just had a great win. I think, was it last night against Denver? Is that with it?
No, that was Saturday, I want to say, over Denver.
Yeah, okay. I know they just had a big game beating Denver, and there's something about I agree. They look great, and DiVincenzo definitely hypes up the team in a way that is great. And then I think also the big thing for me is just everyone does feel bought in, and you don't see like Ant sitting ever. And I feel like it'd be so easy for a guy like him to really take some games off, given just how hard and the type of player he is. He obviously has that value that he could, he controls that relationship with the front office more, to the point where if he was like, I want to sit, they would let him happily. But he doesn't really play. He's a freaking tank and he plays so much. And I think that actually ends up going a long way for the Timberwolves and just their vibes.
No, he's a tank. I misspoke. It was last night. So,
okay. I thought so.
It's been a long day. I don't know. All right. On the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'll shout out Jaden McDaniels in two ways. He had my most ridiculous stat of the week. It's both a Jaden McDaniels and a Wemby stat. But the NBA has been tracking these things called basically a unicorn game, which are like effectively just a complicated way to say unique specific stat lines. And this stat line is 5 blocks and 5 made threes in the same game. So a pretty rare combination of skills there. The career leader in that unicorn stat is, of course, Victor Wembanyama with 6 such games where he has made 5 threes and had 5 blocks. But the other person who has had 3 this season is Jaden McDaniels. And I also wanted to shout him out in the best specific play I saw this week. They had a hard-fought game with Portland, Minnesota did, and they were kind of on like a 8-0 run or something. And then Jaden McDaniels got kind of an open court ahead of him and basically did this like bounce pass to himself dunk that was just like the capstone of the game and looked really cool. It's one of those things that if you screw it up, you get benched, and he didn't. And in that game, he had 27 points, 5 blocks, 6 rebounds. So
it's crazy, man. He's such a sleeper. And honestly, he
seriously
is one of the best in-game dunkers. Like there's some guys that you wouldn't see him in like the dunk contest, but you watch him out in like an actual game and they are flying around the court.
He is so athletic. He's so bouncy. At this point, might be the best role player I can think of in the league. I was kind of trying to make a list of role players, that being, not even like primary ball handler, like third guy types, but just pure role players, plays defense, hits shots when you need him, gets steals when you need him.
Pritchard, I feel like fits in that box too.
Yeah, I probably might rather have Jaden McDaniels just because of the defensive impact though.
Yeah, McDaniels is awesome. I think he's probably like he's 6'8", 6'9", 6'10". He's a huge dude, but he plays like he's 6'5". He moves so well, and so yeah, I think having that height definitely helps on defense.
Have you heard his nickname? I don't know how widespread his nickname is.
No, no.
His nickname is Seatbelt because he clamps the guy he's defending, which is an elite nickname. I don't.
That's a good one. That's up there.
Again,
That's up there.
he's not a splashy guy, or flashy, I guess. So it doesn't really not. I just know it because Luke, friend of the pod, Goatcast on the Field Guide Network, is a big Minnesota fan, and so we get to hype up Seatbelt. But anyway, that's my Jaden McDaniels section.
All right, we'll jump to the player we're watching the closest, and this one by a long ways, I feel like has to be seeing what happens with Tatum, Jayson Tatum. This upcoming week, there are talks that he will be coming back and playing in his first game back since the Achilles tear in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Gosh, I mean, it's going to be crazy, man. I'm going to be holding my breath watching that game. It feels so sudden. I mean, I guess it has not been a year. not even
like
close.
9 months, maybe 10 months. Yeah.
And I imagine for a normal human, that's the type of, I mean, it's one of like the longest recoveries I know of. Like it takes at least a year, it feels like. And I mean, obviously he is not a normal human. He's a freak athlete. And so I'm sure he's got a bunch of consulting doctors in his ears that are telling him he's good to go. But like, man, it's going to be crazy to see. I think Kyle, I understand why the Celtics are doing it. I think it makes sense. They're having a shockingly great year. And they feel like he can be that piece that puts them over the edge, even if he's coming off the bench, man. Like he's the kind of player that can have that insane impact. And so, they're already in contention for the East, and you add in one of the 10 best players in the league to your team. Like, wow.
Yeah, he is an amazing rebounder, which I think is one of the. I mean, Keita has filled in a lot of gaps for them at the center position, but Tatum, that was one of his best skills. So even if you just get 20 productive minutes out of him, as a counterpoint, though, I do worry about how him and Jalen are going to reintegrate. I'm curious if when Jalen Brown started this season, if he thought Tatum was coming back. If he did, then I worry a little bit less. But if he didn't, and he's just like, hey, this is my year to be my team and I'm going to prove myself. And he's definitely had a bit of that chip on his shoulder, which in a good way, not necessarily with Tatum, but just like, I want to prove myself. I think to your point, it's a player we're watching the closest. I'm really curious to see how it's going to play out. Kyle, if you tore your Achilles, and you're an athlete, how soon do you get a documentary crew in there with you to kind of track the progress?
Well, knowing me, I'm sure my whatever athletic event where I tore my Achilles, that is certainly being recorded already, just given the type of venues that I compete in.
That's right.
So it's happening from day one.
Yeah. It's such an interesting one. Do you think like Halliburton has a documentary crew with him? Because there's definitely going to be a Tatum documentary coming out.
Can it be that
soon.
Exciting? I don't know,
it's
man.
Him doing a lot of
if they're pulling out like weekly MRIs and like we're watching the tendon repair itself, I'm so in. That sounds amazing. That sounds sick.
In. Okay, like a medical. You're doing the full medical deep dive or something.
Yeah. If they get if they're showing the medical side of it, it's cool. If they're going which they won't, it's going to be all about basketball, which is fine. But I don't know. I would want to see I would want the stats on watching his calf muscle. Get stronger and stronger. I think if we really focused on that, it'll be a pretty cool watch. But I bet it's also motivating. If you had a camera crew following you around, wouldn't you inherently work harder, rehab better?
That's part of, I think, the argument of why you might want it. It's a weird comparison, but I was just thinking about it today because there was news that David Montgomery, the Detroit Lions running back, got traded to the Houston Texans. Because the Houston Texans, you probably remember, had Joe Mixon as a running back. Very productive, was great. I mean, good running back. And then he basically had some weird foot thing, had some surgery that is a little bit undisclosed. And it looks like they just traded for a running back. It basically looks like he's not going to play. And I'm so curious about the parallels, or I guess rather whatever the opposite of parallels are, the differences in those two situations. Because the whole theory with Joe Mixon is that he had some undisclosed surgery on his foot, that maybe he, non-medically approved surgery. These are all alleged things I'm saying here. And what if Joe Mixon had a documentary crew following around? Would he still be in the league? Like, should we mandate all injuries have a documentary crew so there's like accountability? Like, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but it's a very interesting thing that we're basically gonna have a Tatum documentary 10
Yeah.
months after he tore his Achilles.
That'd be nuts. Reminds me of the Lonzo Ball surgery as well. I remember there was all the rumors flying around that he was like the first NBA player to ever have this surgery, or maybe like one of the first people to ever have this surgery. And it was some like crazy skin, or not skin graft, but a like bone graft or something. When he had some crazy knee surgery. I don't exactly know the details, obviously, but it felt like that same sort of. You don't feel good about the player when they're talking about the surgery as some undisclosed, insane,
Some
like,
experimental
medical anomaly.
Yeah, I mean, part of me is like, at some point in medical history, I don't even know how long ago, like ACL reconstruction was probably
Yeah.
some crazy thing. So I don't want to stand in the way of medical progress, but I also wouldn't want my own team's players to be the guinea pigs. So
Yeah.
anyway, on young player check-in, I'll shout out Bizelis real quick. He had a 32-point game with 7 rebounds on Tuesday for the Bulls. The Bulls are on a loss streak. Might not be. I think they beat the Bucks, so maybe they snapped it. But they're losing a lot. But Bizelis is definitely a high point. Of those 32 points, he shot 70% from the field and had 0 free throws. So
Let's go.
good ethical hoops from the kid.
That's right.
But really, the young player, and I'll pass it to you for this one that everybody's been talking about, deservedly so, is the Charlotte Hornets guy.
Gotta be Con Knuppel. Yeah. After they did the dinner at his mom's house, like the whole team came over to his mom's house for dinner. I don't know if you saw that, but like
I did.
Right after that moment, you just knew this guy he's in the NBA for the long run. He's gonna be one of those guys.
Good kid.
Absolutely good kid, great mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is the fastest player to reach 200 threes. Did it in 58 games. Which is just crazy, man. The way that he's shooting the 3 ball. He now has officially overtaken Cooper Flagg for the top spot in Rookie of the Years. I was looking earlier; he's at minus 170 now. Knuppel is, which is nuts because I know Cooper Flagg was favored out of the gate. I think he was like minus 200 or something.
I bet he got even
started.
He probably got longer odds.
Right, it definitely, the odds definitely got better in his favor, and I can only imagine what Knuppel's got. Yeah, how long his odds were for a while there. But yeah, I mean, just rewriting history here. I guess writing history. Really, I guess like the thing that's so shocking to me is he's doing it quietly. Like you see Cooper Flagg highlights all the time. Obviously, he's injured right now, but when he was playing, I mean, you would just see him put up like crazy dunks. And Knuppel's not that flashy guy. It's also the other wrinkle is that they played at Duke together too.
Yeah.
And so like the level of competition here, I'm sure is unspoken, but given that they've, I can only imagine, these are 2 of the best high school basketball players and they both go play at Duke and they get compared and talked about there and to now come to the NBA. And the whole time Cooper Flagg has been the poster child for basketball, I'm sure in high school and then going to college and being the next chosen one. And then in the back of your mind, man, that's just like, it pushes you, I'm sure. And it's almost like the little brother effect.
I think I was falling into this for a little bit of just like the trap of being like, well, of course, Knuppel is in a better situation. Of course he's doing better. And like Cooper Flagg's in this terrible situation, but like, you got to remember Cooper Flagg was drafted by the Mavericks, who did not have, they were far, they should not have gotten the 1 seed. Charlotte was, I think, the second worst team in the East last year. And, obviously there's been injuries. Kyrie is still out. AD got traded, whatever. So the Flagg situation is not great. He really is like the main guy on the team. And the Knuppel situation has kind of been transformed, but like, a lot of that I think is due to him and his just like consistent production every single night. He is taking threes every night. He's near the top of the leaderboards in 3-point percent, and especially noteworthy of players who have taken over 300 threes. He is the top of the leaderboard. So he's just like so reliable, and he's a rookie. And this kind of reliability you do not expect from this young of a player. So
and consistency. I think that, it's part of the way he plays the game is not flashy. So he's not the guy that's, throwing dunks, but then, oh no, now we're up against Wemby. So I can't keep throwing down dunks and like rushing to the hoop. He can distribute. He's, feels really comfortable with the ball. Like, it's in his hands. He's dribbling around the court and you just feel okay about it.
Yeah. He never looks scared.
No, it doesn't really look scared. Yeah, good for
super
him.
steady. Our most baffling thing of the week. I'll go to baseball on this one. I was just preparing for the fantasy baseball draft, and just looking at how spring training is going, whatever. And here's my question that I do not understand is how are so many baseball players hurt already? And it's one thing. So Pablo Lopez, the Twins pitcher, went down. I think he tore his UCL. That's one thing. That's just like a
freak
that can
accident.
happen. It can happen at any time. Pitching is very hard. I'm going to read you a few names of players who have injuries that, in my sitting from the chair opinion, they should not have at this stage of the season, of preseason. So Merrill Kelly, Cody Bellinger, and Joe Ryan all are nursing back injuries. Brenton Doyle hurt his left wrist. And worst of all, Shane Bieber has forearm fatigue. Here's what I ask you, Kyle. They have not played a regular season game yet. What is Shane Bieber? What is he fatigued from? And how did those guys hurt their back? What were they doing during the 5 months of the offseason? Like, I do not understand
this. Thing. I mean, Cody Bellinger is not a young guy anymore. And so I can imagine his back pain could just be the chronic type. That
and Merrill Kelly's old. Joe Ryan's not old, though.
That's fair. Yeah. But gosh, you make a good question. I don't know. Baseball, it demands a lot from the back. It's kind of like a golf swing. It's super repetitive in that way. So I mean,
comparing a sport to golf is not raising the stakes of that physicality.
The injury.
Yeah. But I hear you. I understand.
Yeah, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, but it's tough. The forearm fatigue thing, that if he's not like playing and healthy when the actual season starts, then I will start to get pissed. But like right now, I just sort of see it as like, he wasn't feeling that great. We'll chalk it down to forearm fatigue. He doesn't really want to, we don't want to stress him out too much, whatever. So it
could be a little, fudging of the injury reports because like these guys just don't play spring training, and like that's totally fine. I'm not advocating for the sanctity of necessarily these spring training games, but if they start to actually miss time, like they are on the injured lists, for however long that is.
No excuses. No excuses.
Forearm fatigue. Any other baffling things caught your eye this week in sports?
I got to talk about the NFL Combine moment. Aaron Glenn, who is somehow still the coach of the New York Jets.
It's been a year.
Exactly. Yes. Fair. Still shocking. There's a clip of him floating around where he's up in like the scouting booth during the combine, and he's like very clearly just like dozing off. And dude, it's insane because the camera catches him, and you can see in like the reflection of the mirror that is also the camera that is being used and displayed to the crowd at the combine. And so like he picks his head up and then goes and probably, inherently he looks at the huge screen, sees his face, which was just dozing off. Has to be
it's awful.
The top worst way to like wake up.
That's awful.
Camera pointing at you, huge 1,000-inch screen blasting your face.
Not to play devil's advocate, but I'm sure those late nights in the combine. The Jets have the Jets have the second pick in the draft. Like it's an important pick.
I'm sure they got it figured out though.
And he can just fall asleep. You think he's nothing? Nothing
apparently not. No, they're in such great shape. The Jets obviously are going to be they're in an awesome situation.
Yeah. It's you got to feel a little bad for. I mean, I don't know. I doubt the Jets fans feel any bad for Aaron Glenn, but I feel a little bad for him.
Yeah, I get that.
All righty, I'm gonna do. So we have a little segment here called Take Space. It's basically just some space to give a take. Here's my first one that's a little smaller. Jalen, the name Jalen is the best name to have in the world right now. And reason being is I don't think there's a huge population of people named Jalen. At least that I don't think it's like a hugely popular name. No. But I'm going to read you the names.
It's not one of those top 10 names like Mohammed.
Sure. read a book. I'm going to read you the names of just off the top of my head, athletes that I could list named Jalen. We have Jalen Brunson in the NBA, Jalen Brown, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Williams, and Jalen Williams. And then Jalen Green, also, you might have forgot about him. And of course, Jalen Hurts in the NFL. So those are all not necessarily star players, but like starters. Some of them, Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brown, Jalen Johnson, some of the best players in the NBA. Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl MVP last year. It's just like, this is one of the highest concentrations of athlete excellence around a single name. I know they're not all spelled the exact same, but it was hard for me to come up with another time that was the case.
Yeah, it is pretty nuts. I mean, even the Jalen Williams and Jalen Williams thing being on the same team is one of the more ridiculous things that I've ever seen in sports. But you're right. I guess if you want to have an athletic kid, you name him Jalen.
Yeah, I'm sure there's studies been done like why, like was there a spike in the name Jalen? And I'm sure I'm just not aware of if there was a certain reason. But my other take is that Joe Mazzulla should be the coach of the year. What he has been doing with basically a new look Celtics team that does not have their star player, Jayson Tatum. They are the 2 seed in the East. Look like they're going to 100% make the playoffs. You already talked about it. Could they make a run with Tatum? But also the amount of positive minutes he's gotten from young guys that other people kind of cast aside. I mean, Cato was a low round pick and was either traded or he picked up on like free agency. Hugo Gonzalez was this young guy he was drafted in like the 20s or something that has been giving them hugely productive minutes. Of course, Peyton Pritchard is a good example. Like he's just gotten so much out of his guys that when you look at other teams that get nothing out of their guys, like the Brooklyn Nets, it's not like the Nets have zero talent. It's not that the Nets have so much less talent than what the Celtics should have on paper, but the Celtics just get so much productivity out that the Nets don't. Or maybe the Nets is not the best example, but you get what I'm trying to say. Wizards is another good example here. Anyway, we love Joe Mazzulla. He says a lot of funny things. So Kyle, I wanted to do a quick game with you. Basically the game is this. It's did Joe Mazzulla say this, or is this a quote from someone famous or an author or
from the
like
Bible? That would be a good one too.
From the Bible. Yeah, there might be a little bit of that in there. To kind of help set the scene, I'm going to read a few just, Joe Mazzulla isms.
Got it.
So when he wanted to demonstrate how the Boston Celtics should attack their opponents, he put in videos of in the film session with his team. He showed them videos of orcas who would hunt bigger prey than them by swimming in packs and then drown their victims. And he wanted his Celtics to play like that. When Jayson Tatum fell down on the court and was bleeding, he said, "I like watching him bleed on the court. I think it's important." When Derek Wright congratulated him on winning Coach of the Month, he said, "Nobody cares." So that's our guy, Joe Mazzulla there. And I'm going to read you a quote, and you're going to tell me Joe Mazzulla or someone famous said this. Why do we argue? Life is so fragile. A successful virus clinging to a speck of mud suspended in endless nothing.
Dude, even for Joe Mazzulla, I think that takes it too far. I'm going Carl Sagan.
It's actually really good. It's not Carl Sagan, but you're right that it is not Joe Mazzulla. That is Alan Moore, the author of the Watchmen graphic novel.
Nice. I'm reading that right now, believe it or not.
Oh wow. Look at this energy.
So
you haven't
funny.
come.
I'm
is
on
that how
like
you
the third comic. No, but it did honestly. It does sound just like something from there. Yeah.
There you go. That's awesome. Is it good?
Yeah, it's really cool. Unlike any other comic that exists.
Nice. Have you seen the movie? I know there is one.
No,
but I don't know much
that's
about
actually there's a TV series as well, and this is me I guess setting myself up to watch a TV series.
Cool. All right, we'll keep going here. Aren't we all in someone's eyes? We're all villains in someone's eyes.
I like that. It's got the not alliteration, but he repeats the words, and I feel like he'd be doing that.
That is Joe Mazzulla.
Come on, 2 for 2.
2 for 2. 2 for 2. All righty. If you've ever been in a fight with someone and you think you're about to beat them, you get sucker punched.
I love that, and I hope it's Joe Mazzulla.
It's Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla. He is full of wisdom, though. They should, like a Yogi Berra quote book. They should do a Joe Mazzulla. The bad news is nothing lasts forever. The good news is nothing lasts forever.
That's similar. It's got the same sort of styling where he uses the word twice. I'll go Joe Mazzulla again.
It is not Joe Mazzulla. That is J. Cole. That is J. Cole. Alrighty, a few more here. Monsters are real and ghosts are real too. They live inside us and sometimes they win.
Gosh, you're so deep, man. They mean there's so much to read beneath the surface of like why the artist is saying this, and I'm including Joe Mazzulla in the realm of artists, by the way. Yes. But I'll say no. It's getting grayer and grayer. The water's getting murkier. I can't tell anymore.
This one is Stephen King. You're right to trust your instincts on that. All right, two more.
What book is that from? Do you have the book listed?
I don't have the book. I don't have the
Okay.
book listed.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
I don't know.
All
Cujo. Just thinking. Life is slavery if the courage to die is absent.
So I'm also processing them.
Yep. Life is slavery if the courage to die is absent.
She's actually a poet. That's Mazzulla. Come on.
That is the Roman orator Seneca. But it very well could be Mazzulla. All right, last one. And this one you might know the quote either way, but I just wanted to say it. People are going to say the target is on our back, but I hope it's right on the forehead between our eyes.
I don't know that quote inherently. I've not heard this one before, I don't think.
Okay. It's helpful.
I'm saying it's Joe Mazzulla for this last one. I feel like
it's Joe Mazzulla. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe I don't recognize that one, but
It's
I don't.
so good.
I've like watched a few of the compilations. Yeah, that's baller.
That is so baller. Well, thanks for indulging me. We love our guy Joe.
I was one more thing about him, and I heard this. I don't remember which game I was watching or who the broadcasters were. The broadcaster was talking about how Joe Mazzulla was basically the perfect coach for this current Celtics team. And the reason being was that Joe Mazzulla, when he was back in college playing for West Virginia, he ended up actually being a bench guy that then became the starter because the previous starter had gotten injured at West Virginia, and he ended up actually being like a really solid player for West Virginia. They went on to win one of those like invitational tournaments that they do in the NCAA. And so anyways, now for him to be coaching this Celtics team, he's kind of the perfect guy with Tatum out and this sort of hodgepodge team. And yeah, you see them play like a lot of guys, 10, 11, 12 guys a night. And I think it's just really the perfect fit for him.
Yeah, and he even started his tenure with the Celtics. I think he came in as the interim after Ime Udoka was, I want to say, fired.
That was after Brad Stevens?
Somewhere in there. No, and he came in after Ime Udoka, and same idea. Like he was the glue for the team, and then he became the full-time head coach. It wasn't like he was this, big name head coach that was then picked for it. So all this weird stoic energy he's giving, like it actually is. It probably does affect things in a good way. And obviously they're a very successful team, so it clearly does. Next on NBA, things we're looking forward to this coming week. I took a look at the game slate, and none of the like specific games jumped out to me, but I did note it looks like Giannis is coming back. We're recording this Monday night, coming back tonight. And it's kind of snuck up on me. The Bucks they're still, I think they're the 11th seed in the East, and there's still a few games behind the Hornets and the Hawks, who, we talked Kuminga with the Hawks and then Con with the Hornets, as well as like Brandon Miller, sorry, not Miles Bridges. Brandon Miller and LaMelo have been awesome for the Hornets, and that has kind of propelled them on this win streak. But so the Bucks aren't exactly in like great spot, but they were 8-2 for a little bit without Giannis, and then they lost to the Knicks and the Bulls. So that kind of 8-4 was how the most recent 12 games ended up. But it's like, now you have one of the best players in the league, maybe the third best player in the league, maybe second given the day. When you have someone like that, anything is possible. Giannis has already won a championship. It's like, I kind of feel like if I'm a Bucks fan, I just want to get into the playoffs and like see what happens. The Bucks won the NBA Cup last year. They can do this kind of thing. So, what are you? Am I crazy that the Bucks are actually kind of alive in the East to say that?
No, I mean, Giannis, he got his ship a few years back, and I mean, obviously that was a different Bucks team by a lot, but I don't think it's crazy to think that they could make a run. They're in playoff contention now. Yeah, exactly. You get to the playoffs,
or at least play in.
Yeah, you make it to definitely a play-in game, and then you never know what happens. I mean, teams get hurt. We saw that with the Pacers' crazy run last year. It just sort of fell into their lap in some ways, but I don't want to take that away from them. They obviously played amazing all the way up to the finals. But
maybe 2024 Pacers would be a better comp, where it's like a lot of the teams in front of them just got injury, and then they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it's like, especially if you have Giannis Antetokounmpo and you're in the play-in, you got one game, and then you just got to win one game at a time. And with Giannis, I'd like my chances of winning one game at a time than not.
Yeah.
So
No
even though it's a
kidding.
bit of a ragtag Bucks team at this point, it's like Miles Turner, Cam Thomas is now putting in like real minutes for them, which is still weird to see him in a Bucks jersey. Like, it's a ragtag team, but
Yep.
maybe. Performance of the week, like who was your kind of like number one, guy who had the best game this week?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, here's the thing. So Cavs Pistons, Friday night was one of the wildest games I've seen recently.
It was all over the place.
A crazy game. And unfortunately, Jalen Duren had a phenomenal game. It's one of the best games I've really seen from him. Popped off with 33 points, which I think was a career high for him, and 16 rebounds. So yeah, he went crazy. And for me, probably the saddest part of the game was in overtime watching Evan Mobley, who, I mean, he's a defensive player of the year, reigning defensive player of the year. Watching him struggle to get the ball out of his hands to take the final shot was crazy. It's one of those win or go home situation, winner, I guess game winner shot that he had in overtime at the very end.
Make it or lose. Yeah.
Yeah. Make it or lose. And proceeds to like pump fake 3 times on really good opportunities. And then takes like a bad, awkward shot. It was just so sad to see, man. We just did not have our dogs in there. Harden was out, Mitchell was out, and that's the way it
How
went.
do you feel if you play the Pistons again? I saw a headline, didn't look into it, so could just been clickbait, but basically that the rumblings in the Cavs locker room is that they're okay being the 4 seed because they would match up against the Pistons in the whatever that would be, Eastern Conference semifinals. Do you share that sentiment?
Woof. I wouldn't love that matchup. I mean, do I think we win? Yeah. Do I think it goes to 6 or 7 games? Yes. And I don't we're going to get beat up in that series is the more important thing.
Yes.
Asar Thompson and Duren are both just men that can really mess you up. And
Beef Stew and Ron Holland. Like, these guys, they are mean in a good way, but
mean. No, they have that old school Pistons mentality. And so I would not like to see them in that 1-4 matchup. I think, we will look we match up way better, especially like thinking about long-term playoffs. Against either the Knicks or Celtics.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. But hey, maybe the Bucks get like the 9 seed and then they end up playing the Pistons and something, things can get frisky, but Duren had a huge game. I also wanted to shout out Tyrese Maxey versus the Miami Heat. During the game, he broke the 76ers 3-point franchise record. He did it with 5 threes in the first quarter. Just one of those quarters where someone gets hot and was, I think, a 20-point first quarter. 5 of them or 15 of those were from threes. Ended up with 27 and 11 assists. Miami tried to come back in the game, and like Maxey is just so steady with the ball. He just feels like one of those NBA players the public is not super aware of. And if he was just a little bit bigger of a star or in a little bit different of a market or different of a situation, or maybe even just needs some more time being this good. We've talked about his ascension before on this pod. So maybe it's like next year people start to become aware. But anyway, he is just so exciting to watch and so good and plays so much. He plays like 38 minutes a game. And
he's also a guy that he'll take it to the hoop and proceed to like fall and roll and tumble afterwards on the floor. Like, I don't know. You look at a guy like Luka or Jokic or even, I mean, Duren in some ways. Like, it kind of makes sense that they're able to play night after night. They're just resilient and durable.
Sure,
in the case of Jokic, he gets horizontal. Like, he's got his elbows on the ground 1 or 2 times a night, it feels like, whereas with Maxey,
in some like weird situation,
it feels like it's happening way more often. He's got that just crazy guard speed and bounce, even
he's all over.
He's all over the place. And so for him to play as much as he does is super impressive. And I mean, I definitely agree. I think you put a guy like Maxey on the Lakers, on Golden State, on the Celtics, you hear about him a lot more, but because he's on the 76ers, who have been a little bit quieter.
And it's a weird narrative there because they also have Embiid and they have Paul George and they also have VJ Edgecombe, who's like the flashy rookie. So it's like, it's not that Maxey isn't the biggest star. I think he is like the heart and soul of that team.
Definitely.
But not the obvious face of the team in the same way like that we've used. Joel Embiid he won the MVP 3 seasons ago. That's who we associate the most with. But Maxey is so awesome. Okay, in my game of the week, I wanted to take a second and do some European football. So the Champions League, the first round of the knockout stage was this past week. Kyler, are you familiar with how the 2-leg format works in the Champions League? How there's the 2 games and the aggregate score?
So yeah, let's say if me and you were playing, I beat you 2-1 in the first game, you beat me 3-1 in the second game, you win the series.
Yeah, simple as that. The key thing that is different in recent years as compared to, I don't remember exactly when they changed the rule, but older, is there's no away goals rule, and it used to be that whichever team had if you tied, let's say, I'm trying to think of a good way to. I win 3-0. No, that wouldn't do it. It's hard to come up with the exact situation. Anyway, we tie, but I scored more goals at your home stadium. I would go through. Now that is no longer the case, which there's pros and cons to that, but definitely a pro is it leads to very exciting games. Specifically, Inter Milan and Juventus. Juventus and Galatasaray, excuse me. We'll get to Inter Milan in a second. Were tied 5-5 after 2 legs. The key thing there was Galatasaray won the first leg in Turkey, their Turkish team. They won 5-2, and then Juve won at their home stadium in Italy 3-0. So by away goals, Juve would have scored 2 goals in Turkey and then 3 at home, so they would be away goals, and then the tie would have been over. But now it's just 5-5. So first of all, 3-goal comeback in 1 leg is already thrilling. Very exciting stuff. And then in extra time, so now to do tiebreaker, they do 30-minute extra period. Galatasaray scored 2 goals to end up winning it. Honestly, I've talked about him before, but Victor Osimhen is the Galatasaray's forward. He's from Nigeria, I'm pretty sure. Very exciting player. He made a name for himself actually in the Italian league and now plays in Turkey. And so he's kind of not been forgotten about, but less focused on. Just so fast and very decisive with the ball, which is a trait that I think a lot of modern forwards lack. And he ended up scoring I think the go-ahead goal. One of the 2 goals in extra time. I forget exactly which one, but that was probably my game of the week, just between Juventus comeback to make it 5-5 and then Galatasaray finishing it in Italy, and just a good highlight for how exciting this aggregate format can be.
It helps that those were both really exciting games where there's more than 2 goals scored. I know a lot of, especially with these really good teams, it feels like the defense is just so good, and you'll have 0-0 ties or 1-0 wins. So that's a good game of the week.
Last thing I'll just highlight, just because, and I imagine we'll talk about them again, but the Norwegian side, Bodo Glimt, knocked out Inter Milan, another Italian team, out of the Champions League. So Bodo Glimt is a Norwegian team. Like I said, they come from a town, Bodo, and this is a 15 square kilometer town, and it has a population of 42,000 people, which is less than the capacity of a lot of stadiums. And from the club from that town, they, of course, knocked out Inter Milan. They also made it to the Europa League semifinals last year. They had a lot of great wins in the group stage. This is really one of those minnows of European football, taking out some of the biggest names. And honestly, they play beautiful football, very free flowing. Their final goal is worth watching. They just move the ball around so well and attack the open space really, really fast in ways that a lot of the top teams have been a little bit slower in recent years. It's kind of been the style. So just wanted to give them a shout out.
Can you give me the Midwest analogy for what that is in March Madness terms? Is this a 16 over a 1 or?
No, it's a little bit less dramatic than that. Bodo Glimt have been a frisky team. People have been picking them as a dark horse to make it a little bit so maybe a really good 11 seed or something like that. Right. That plays really fun basketball. Let's do that. But that also has to come from a town in Iowa that is 3,000 people. So something like that.
Sweet. All right, let's keep moving with the non-basketball. The most exciting sport moment you watched. We both have a little bit to add here. This is Shohei Ohtani having his batting practice in Japan. he's first of all, he's a guy that you don't typically see taking like a public batting practice. A lot of times they won't be publicized. But when he goes back home to Japan, it's a whole freaking event, man. And you got to say, I love the way that the Japanese public just like rally behind him. Shout out to
it's not just the Japanese public,
population.
but it is. It also includes the American public, but absolutely,
and tourists. That's fair. Yeah. The one thing I wanted to add to say about this, and I'll let you kind of take it over. But I saw like a clip of it, and Ohtani was taking the public rail to get to Osaka, like the public high speed rail, which like what a flex that you're. I don't know. Like I can't imagine imagine Aaron Judge taking the subway in New York City. Like it just doesn't happen. It's to have like your sports guy taking your public transport to get to his batting practice is pretty baller.
Yeah, Ohtani, I'm so excited for baseball to start. It's hard to say enough good things about, or not even good things, just like how amazing this guy is. If you haven't watched, if you are new to baseball, I would just watch some Ohtani batting highlights, and I would also just watch his batting practice and watch his, not even just the fans, but his teammates on the Japanese World Baseball Classic team, how in awe they are of this guy. I mean, he's huge. He has a perfect swing. I don't know. We need to come up with, we have the main character category. I worry in baseball, I'm going to want to nominate Ohtani every single week. So we might need to have like
every year. Yeah.
Yeah. We might need to have something like either like a non-him or Aaron Judge protagonist. Like baseball is just they loom so large in the sport.
Dude, they're prolific. Yeah, they're everything, and it really does feel like that. I remember when we were doing it. Yeah, last year. You're right. It felt like it's his award every time.
Yeah, and for good reason. I mean, both those guys are literally unbelievable. Their stats are unbelievable. They're both really cool. They're huge. They do things that we've never seen before. Like anyway,
it's a good time to be a baseball fan for sure.
It's a good time to be a baseball fan. Yeah. To wrap it up, what did we watch that wasn't sports? I think the thing I really want to highlight here, I saw two good movies that I recommend if you're listening. Crime 101 and How to Make a Killing. If they're still in theaters, both are really fun. Neither of them are going to change your life, but they're both great. Good time. Check them out in your local movie theater. But both of us watching Survivor right now. It is Survivor season 50, and it's awesome. I have watched so much Survivor in my life, and this is a fun season to jump back in. What were your thoughts on the premiere? Like over way too long, first of all, but
2.5. Yeah, like the non-commercial version is like 2.5 hours. It was crazy, man. I could not believe it. Way too long. Like just cut it up, and honestly, like publish one on Tuesday, another on Thursday. Like I don't care. Just separate them. Like
I understand that it's 50, and it's like the fans, if you're going to do fan service and give us this bloated episodes where we get a quote from every single player, it's fine that it's this season, but it was really long. I was up way too late watching. Like, yeah. It should just be
I think I've already determined I'm going to watch it on Thursday. I'm going to watch my watch day is going to be on Thursdays. So I'm going to have to be totally excommunicado for like 24 hours.
Do you have a winner pick?
Dude, my guy's Q. I love
Kyle.
Q. I really do. He is the man. At first I was like, all right, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Then you realize he's playing 4D chess.
Thank you.
I'm all about Q. I'm all about it.
Yeah. Anytime he's on my screen, I'm happy. Honestly, he's not my winner pick, but same deal with Coach, where I'm just happy if Coach is on my screen.
To be clear, he's not my winner pick. I think if I were to give a winner pick,
he's not either, realistically.
Mine might be D. I really like D. I like her game in was it 45 or 46? I watched. She freaking dominated. Which I'm really happy with that. So I like her pick. Yeah.
I get so worried that people are going to get.
I know when they have a past winner, they get psyched out, man, and it's like, all right, this person's already won, get them out of here.
Yeah, that's why I've been kind of trying to come up with people who like showed the chops to get to the end, but just like were up against someone really good in their final three. So someone like Charlie is someone I thought about as a good winner pick, or like Chrissy as well. Like obviously excellent players, but they might go into the radar just purely because they didn't specifically win. It's harder.
Charlie's a good pick. Yeah.
Like it's so much when you're trying to convince someone to make a certain vote, it's really nice to have like a specific thing to hang your hat on. Like, hey, why I want you to vote for whatever, Matt over Kyle tonight. There's a lot of reasons, but remember, Matt won. Let's not let him win again. Like, and I think that narrative will be too strong to just be able to
It
vote on
gets
D.
even stronger, like when you go to jury, I think. Like when it gets really
Totally.
deep in the run, it's like, all right, now that we've had some time to like sit and take a step back and think about it, it's like, all right, we'd rather give the money and the clout to the person that hasn't won before.
Yeah, like Q.
Exactly.
Like our guy Q.
That's a good
But yeah,
one.
anything else here? We'll do a little Survivor corner here at the end of each episode. But
Yeah,
other
no,
than Survivor, anything else?
no real TV shout out for me. I have been very slowly reading this book. It's called Permutation City, and it just feels like it's becoming more and more relevant every time I pick it up. It's a science fiction novel. It's kind of a heady read, to be honest. It's not the easiest to just pick up, and it's not like a beach read. I wouldn't describe it as that. But one of the things that is really prevalent in the book is this idea of like compute being a decentralized currency, basically. So like if I wanted to run a simulation or an AI or something like that, you would basically like rent the compute from somebody. So instead of it being like in our world, it just feels like that's the direction that the world is heading, and it just feels more and more relevant every day. And this book came out in 1994.
Oh my gosh.
And the author, I mean, if you read it, he's just like brilliant in a lot of ways, and just like the way he describes it, it's very sciencey and less fictiony, to be honest. It's very much goes really deep into honestly like the chemistry of it. There's a lot of like simulation things that go into like simulating human biology, and it talks about that, which is sometimes interesting. Sometimes it gets a little bit too much, but anyways, it's a really cool book. And I wanted to give it a shout out because I think it's becoming more and more relevant, especially for it to come out that long ago. And like, we're just now kind of seeing this idea of like, I don't know if you've been, probably not. It's really like nerdy networking news, but like computer hardware prices have been going up like crazy, specifically hard drives and memory modules. Mm-hmm. And it feels like, consumers in ordinary everyday retail consumers are being priced out by companies that can purchase huge quantities of it. And before long, that is sort of how these kind of things begin, where people are no longer have home computers because instead we'll just rent it from somebody. And I mean, that's obviously becoming a bit of a tired thing to talk about. Everything is becoming a renting service, but it does ring true.
When you said, I was not expecting you to say 1994 with all how prescient everything you were saying sounds.
I know, it is crazy. Yeah.
Also, I hope this doesn't become a theme for the rest of our pod where I say some like crime movie that was in theaters and you say like a novel or a documentary or
something very historically relevant.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, it was really, really cool when he shot him with the gun and they drove the car fast.
Like I said earlier, I'm also reading through Watchmen, which is absolutely just a comic. And so that's another one. Although, to be honest, it's also historically relevant. It takes place in like Cold War times, and it's pretty cool. Really a crazy read, unlike anything else, man. Watchmen is crazy.
Well, this was really good. If you're still here, you are the real ones. Thank you so much for listening. Guys, we're presented by the Field Guide Podcast Network, which is a fancy way to say we have a bunch of friends who also do podcasts that we like to talk to each other on our podcast and kind of share guests. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you're on the right place because we have, it'll be on this feed that other Field Guide podcasts will come out. If you're on YouTube, we have them kind of linked in our channel, so you can go with that, go through that. But definitely check them out. It's a good crew. We have the Goatcast, Science Podcast, TV, movies, whatever you're like kind of interested in. We probably have something for it, and we'll be here next Monday with this same thing, doing NBA and the biggest sports stories.
That's right.
Yeah, Kyle, this was great. Any kind of parting words?
Awesome. I'm excited, man. Go Q.
Go Q. Yeah, Q gang. Alrighty.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.